Hi everybody, Mrs. Mozingo here to talk a little bit about kind of the basics of drawing. We're going to start to kind of delve into character illustration, animation. Now, as we start to do this, let's kind of look at our new tool. We've been using this ebony pencil. Now, ebony pencil is a pencil that tends to be really, really dark. So I'm actually just going to start, it's going to say animation at the top. You're going to put your name and your class code. Okay, so once you got it up there, and then you can also put the date. So check the board. So we're gonna go through some of the animation basics. Okay, you're gonna put this at the top of your paper as well, animation basics. Okay, so we need to use the right tool. So looking at this ebony pencil, this is, okay, so the ebony, things that you can do with the ebony, you can start to do this thing called hatching, which are just lines one way. Yes, label them. Okay, this is a thing called cross hatching. Now, some of you may remember some of these blending techniques when we've used ebonies before. And then the last one is double cross hatching. So I cross hatch this way and go through horizontally. So this is called double cross hatching. Now here's the interesting part about this. The closer the lines get together, the darker the value. So when we start to talk about shapes, okay, shape basics. So hopefully at this point you've started to kind of think about what are some of the characters you like, what are the characteristics that you really, really like, and then you're gonna start to create your own. That's your job today. Okay, so let's look at shape basics. If we start drawing some of these basic shapes, yep, you're gonna draw the same thing too. Okay, so draw these 4. Now, you'll also notice, you guys remember potato chip sketching. I've been sketching really, really lightly because easy to erase. We know that. Another thing you can do with these erasers is actually draw with the pink pearl eraser and then start to slowly sketch over your lines. If you don't like it, just erase the eraser, okay? So something to think about. Now, ebonies tend to be what are called B for bold. There are different numbers. This is a 10B. This is a 12B. Oi, 4B. Okay, so the larger the number, the more rich your pencil is and the darker the value. Okay, ones that have the H on them, and I think these might be all, 2H. Now, some of you might fight me out there, I know. 2H, H stands for hard. So if you want your pencil lead to be a little bit more firm, okay, that's another thing to consider. But we've got the ebonies, but for future, this is one of my favorite little sets. Tomato, love it, got on Amazon. You can get lots of different things. All right, here we go for basic drawing. All right, so let's think about these basic shapes. Thing to keep in mind, what part of the body might we use this for? So maybe I want to start to make this maybe for like a belly, okay, for a person. Or I could start to use it for their head. And I just do a pencil kind of a body. Same thing. And I'd love us to start, you're going to get a couple handouts today. You'll get one that says, talking about different sort of facial expressions, and then one that's about kind of placement of the body, things like that, putting the body parts together. All right, so this could be a head. Okay, or it could be the body part of this, right? It could be both. So the goal for this one is really think about, I think Edna from The Incredibles, she's got this body, this short kind of little body. You'll see one of those sketches in class too. But think about how these basic shapes can start to come together for you to create your own character. So after the shape basics, I want you to start to develop your character a little bit more. Now, I personally, okay, start with that basic shape. Now, you may do human, you may do animal, I think a little bit of both. Okay, but I do want you to experiment a little bit with human for sure. This whole unit is a great lead into portraiture. Now I'm going to do like kind of a super kitty as my character. But the only thing with this kitty is that it always needs to be laying down, kind of like Gudetama. Maybe some of you guys know Gudetama. Oh, maybe I'm going to give it like a little bit of pattern. Okay, so this would be considered kind of like details. I've got kind of the basics of who it is, but I feel like it needs to be like a cat plus something else that's happening, almost like a super cat, but has that been done before? Possibly. Okay, so watch this. I'm going to put some hatching back here and then see what happens. I can start to blend it in just a little bit. Maybe I'll give this guy a little bit of fur. Oh gosh, now it's starting to look like a seal. You know, the little seal with all those little, maybe it's a baby a jaguar and a tiger together. A jager, a cat jager, super jager. There we go. So here's your, I want you to start to add, once you've got the basics of the body, what sort of facial features? That's one of the handouts that you're going to get. What sort of eyes? What sort of nose? Right? What sort of eyes, nose, and even mouth will you start to add to your character? Okay, then what sort of details? Okay, what sort of detailing to the clothing? Start to figure out what might it be wearing, what sort of a hat, what sort of texture that you're going to do. And then ultimately, you're going to add the context. So like, where does it live? Like this guy, I think he might, I'm going to put him on a moon to start with. He's going to maybe have like a little house on the moon. So I'm going to do another panel over here. And again, this is where you can have multiple sheets of paper. Just double check you've got your name and your class code on there. So from start to finish, first thing, and we can play and pause, but you're going to experiment with the ebony pencil for some of the animation basics. You're going to start to draw 4 shapes and start to create different variations. Could be the head, could be the body. Okay, beyond that, you're going to choose an animal or a human, start to work with the facial features. So eyes, nose, mouth, hair, ears, jewelry, things like that. Start to add the details. So what sort of like even texture, clothing, okay, what sort of props, okay, might it have? I want you to think about that. And then ultimately the last thing, context. Where does it live? Okay, so when you're all done, you're going to take a photo and you're going to upload it to Schoology. Okay, thanks for being with me, and Cat Jagier.